Right now, without you noticing, there are plants growing under your feet, quietly, stubbornly, returning year after year. No matter how many times you try to erase them, you've pulled them out, you've sprayed them, you've covered them in mulch, hoping they disappear, but they don't. They come back every spring, like they're trying to tell you something. What if the plants you've been fighting are actually more nutritious, more resilient, and more valuable than anything you've been carefully growing? What if the thing you've been destroying is the very thing designed to sustain you for free? Today, we're looking at 6 common weeds, plants you already have right now, and why they quietly outperform most vegetable gardens in vitamins, nutrition, survival, and something no store-bought seed can ever promise. 0 input, no planting, no watering, no maintenance, no cost, just growth and return every single year. And by the end of this, you won't look at your lawn the same way again. Let's start with the one that's probably closest to you right now. Number 6, dandelion, the plant you were taught to kill that outperforms kale. Long before modern lawn culture, before herbicides, before perfect grass became the goal, dandelion was planted on purpose, not accidentally, deliberately. European settlers carried it across oceans just to grow it. Pause for a second and think about that. A plant we now spray with chemicals was once considered valuable enough to transport across continents as food. And the reason is simple. A small handful of dandelion greens contains more vitamin K than almost anything you can grow, more beta-carotene than carrots, more calcium per calorie than milk, and every part of it is usable. The young leaves, tender in early spring, the flowers, eaten raw or lightly cooked, the roots, roasted into a coffee substitute, or dried for herbal use. Things people pay for are already growing in your yard. Now compare that to something like spinach. Spinach needs prepared soil, watering, protection from heat, and replanting. Again and again, dandelion needs nothing. It breaks through hard soil, survives frost, grows for months, and comes back every year on its own. It doesn't need you, it sustains itself. But as powerful as dandelion is, it mostly gives you vitamins. The next plant gives you something most gardens completely lack. Number 5, purslane, the plant that gives you omega-3. Without fish, most people see it and pull it out. It looks like a random succulent creeping through garden beds, but what they're throwing away is one of the richest plant sources of omega-3 fatty acids on land. The same nutrient people spend money on every month. Purslane grows it freely. No supplements, no cost, no effort. And here's what makes it even more powerful. It thrives in the exact conditions that kill everything else. Heat, drought, poor soil. While your vegetables struggle, purslane spreads, quietly, relentlessly. It doesn't just survive neglect, it prefers it. You can eat it fresh, slightly lemony, crisp. Cook it, add it to soups, or preserve it. In other parts of the world, it's not a weed, it's a crop. But here, it's being thrown away. And while purslane fills a nutritional gap, the next plant fills something deeper. Number 4, lamb's quarters, the wild green that rivals cultivated crops. You've seen it before, tall, pale green, dusted with a soft powder. It doesn't look impressive, but it was once a staple food. Not just the leaves, but the seeds, tiny, grain-like, similar to quinoa, because they're related. One plant can produce thousands of seeds, food, multiplying itself, without permission, without planning. The leaves alone contain more protein than spinach, and they cook the same way. Soft, mild, easy to use. But here's what matters most. It grows in disturbed soil, the edges of gardens, vacant spaces, anywhere the ground has been touched, which means if you're already gardening, it's probably already growing, beside you, working, quietly, for free. But up until now, we've been talking about food. The next 2 plants go beyond that. They begin to heal. Number 3, wood sorrel, the small plant, hiding vitamin C in plain sight. At a glance, it looks like clover, but it isn't. Its leaves are shaped like hearts, and its taste? is unmistakable. Bright, sour, almost like lemon. That flavor is your signal. It's rich in vitamin C, something the body cannot store and must constantly replace. Historically, the lack of it caused serious deficiency, not because people lacked food, but because they lacked freshness. Wood sorrel solves that, naturally. It grows in shade, in overlooked corners, under trees, along edges where little else survives. Places you ignore are quietly producing nutrients. You can eat it raw, add it to meals, use it anywhere you'd use citrus, and it keeps coming back, small, but persistent. And then, there's the plant that doesn't just feed you, it feeds the soil itself. Number 2, clover. The plant you mow. That's rebuilding your ground. Clover does something remarkable. It takes nitrogen from the air and puts it back into the soil, naturally, without fertilizer, without chemicals. It improves the land, just by existing. Farmers once planted it, intentionally, to restore exhausted fields. Now, it gets cut down, over and over, without a second thought. But it's edible too. Leaves, mild and fresh. Flowers, usable, even dried. And beyond that, it spreads, it regenerates, it works, continuously, all without you doing anything. But even clover, as powerful as it is, doesn't match what comes next. Because the final plant solves the most critical moment in any food system. Number 1, chickweed. The plant that arrives before anything else. Late winter, early spring, when the ground is still waking up. Chickweed is already there, growing, while everything else is still waiting. That timing matters more than anything, because the hardest time isn't summer. It's the gap between what's gone and what hasn't grown yet. Chickweed fills that gap, soft, mild, nutrient-rich. It spreads low, in dense mats, producing food when nothing else can. And then, as the season changes, it fades away, making space for everything else. It doesn't compete, it completes. And like everything else on this list, once it appears, it stays. Now step back and look at the bigger picture. 6 plants, no cost, no effort, no dependency. Together, they provide nutrients, balance, resilience, and timing. They grow through heat, through cold, through neglect. They don't fail. They adapt. While most systems depend on inputs, these plants depend on nothing. And the strange part is, we've been paying to remove them every year, spending money to destroy something that was already trying to feed us. So the question isn't whether these plants are useful, they already are. The real question is, will you start seeing them differently? If this opened your eyes even a little, there's a deeper layer to this. Because weeds alone aren't the full system. There are specific crops that work with these plants, filling the gaps they leave behind, especially when it comes to calories and long-term storage. That's what the next video breaks down. So if you want to build something that actually sustains you, not just something that looks good, watch that next. And from now on, before you pull something out of the ground, pause and ask yourself, is this really a weed, or is it something I just haven't understood yet?